Not that there's really a ton of information out there. We don't have a ton of footage of these Team USA practices, but it is kind of fun to see Veronica Burton in the mix with all of these players. Natalie Nakase in the mix with these coaches. And Veronica Burton had a comment sort of about the iron sharpening iron as far as her being out there. And this is an awesome moment for her, but it's also like one of those things where, I think she's playing Unrivaled, and it's going to be cool to see her play Unrivaled. But this is kind of like a major step up moment for her where it's like, oh, this is how people actually see you to play with this echelon of talent. And she's in the mix with first timers like Caitlin and Paige and Angel Reese and players like that. And she's in that mix. She's a little bit older than them, obviously. But to be on that team, I think it's got to be pretty special for her. And I wonder how, if she feels any pressure to just be like all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, I need to even be better next year than I was the previous year, because her playing so well kind of caught a lot of people off guard. And sometimes when you're able to do that, there's not as much pressure. But now, if we have this next season, whenever we have it, there's going to be lots of footage on how do we stop Veronica Burton. But this is an amazing moment for her, and I love seeing her being able to soak it up.
Yeah, and hopefully next year they have more help for her. So, if people try to stop Veronica, then you stay open in the corner. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have said free agent open that he can help, and Kayla's back, and I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, I saw some of those Olympic 3-on-3 games, FIBA or whatever it was, and then yeah, she's you could see her in these clips at that USA camp at Duke. It looks like it. I think it was at Duke. Um, but man, it was cool kind of seeing from those scrimmages. It was cool seeing a lineup of Caitlin, Paige, Angel, Aaliyah Boston, and I think it was Iriafen, or if it was Citron. I think it was Citron. Like, what a five, man. That's just a pure like year one, year two five that are look like they're going to dominate the league.
That's how they should do
So
the
fun.
All-Star game. The OGs versus like the
The youngins.
25 and unders or something. That would be a
Yeah.
good way to do the All-Star
Yeah.
game. So Kayla Thornton was also in the blogs, I guess. Marissa and Jimmy had a conversation with her, and they talked about coming back to San Francisco, and she said, "Yeah, that's the hope. I've been able to slow down and do what I've been wanting to do, giving back to the community, because usually I'd probably be overseas. So it's a bit of a blessing to get to stay here. I'm praying that I'll be back when training camp starts and ready to go."
It's
So
been
the
interesting seeing her. She's like legit just like here. And like
Mhm.
I think there was near my apartment at Union Square, they shut off like 2 blocks for this Christmas kind of block event where it's all lit up and different shops and looks like a winter wonderland. And I think the Valkyries had a booth and Kayla was there. Just like I wish. I mean, I wasn't in town, but I would have totally went.
So there's a conversation, and we even had this conversation on the expansion draft. And there's a subset of people who think, why would you protect Kayla? She's in her early 30s. You have a young team. You don't, even if she makes you better, you're not winning the title with her. So you should protect some of the younger players. And one of those players who's on the bubble is Carla Late. Ben and Sabrina, when they did their draft, they had Carla as unprotected. And I think there are some people, and even people in our Discord, who believe that maybe Kayla should be the one who is unprotected. And there's someone in our Discord and who's a listener as well, Chris. Chris had a question, and I think we've answered it correctly, but I just wanted to bring it up because it is what people are wondering, and I think we even asked Sabrina this last year. But it's like the idea of, why would you protect somebody who's essentially going to be a free agent? And I think the answer is that if you protect them, you have this window of time in which you can negotiate with them. And if you don't protect them, then they're going to be on the other team. And the other team has this opportunity to have conversations with them and negotiate with them. So you want to kind of keep them in house, and then you can, you can rebuild. So the idea is
There's also, I mean, there's also the core. The other team could select in core, and then you're cooked. You're screwed.
right. Do you think Kayla would be someone who would be cored though?
I think from an optics perspective, if you're a Portland or Toronto, and you're not really able to attract maybe the free agents you were hoping, like, then you could say Kayla Thornton was an all-star last year. We have no other player on our team that was an all-star in the past 3 years. Let's core her.
So what does a core mean in the new CBA? Because it's not going to mean $200,000 like it does now. So it would jump your payroll.
Yeah, I mean, I say this every podcast. I feel like a broken record, but we still need to learn the rules.
Yep.
For those who don't remember, the Valkyries, for their expansion draft, had a rule that they were only able to select one unrestricted free agent. And they selected Monique Billings with that one available unrestricted free agent. What are the rules for when Toronto and Portland do their expansion draft? Because a lot of players are unrestricted free agents, a lot of them. So it would be weird if they only had one, but then I don't know what's their limit. So we just need to wait for the rules, because I think once you get the rules, you could be a little more strategic with it. If it is still only one, then maybe you do let Kayla, you do leave it, because maybe there's a chance that a better unrestricted free agent is there for the taking.
Yeah. I personally, and this is the fandom coming out a little bit, I just liked watching her play basketball.
Me too.
Would she possibly play in front of other players like Chechi, where maybe you want Chechi to get some of those nips? It's not like Chechi's a youngest person either. Would she stall some of Eustace's minutes? Who knows? But it is an interesting exercise because of the way that things work, and expansion is going to keep happening. So this is going to be a conversation over the next several years, as well as how do you keep all these players?
I think you can start like for sure. We know Veronica and Janelle are going to get protected, and we know that those two players are not only going to be protected, but they're going to be starters for this team next year. So if like Kayla's on the team, you basically write in 3 starters in Veronica, Kaylin, and Janelle, and I feel like you'd want to kind of surround them with 2 very like offensive players to kind of make up for maybe some of the offensive deficiencies that Kayla has, that sometimes Veronica can get stopped, and then Janelle, sometimes have off nights. And I know we're so far away from thinking about roster construction, but if those 3 are protected and are still on the team, like I imagine those are already 3 starters locked.
Yeah, so they got to be locked.
Finding 2 more players that are way more offensive than Temi was, way more offensive than Monique was. Ileana Rupert kind of, but has offense, but
Repair's clearly got to be kept. I think.
Start doing the numbers. It just gets a little. I think so too, but if it's 5, you want to do the 5. It's Veronica, Janelle, you stay. That's 3. We get 2 more.
Kayla. In your world, 4. based on that, and then it's got to be Rupert, right?
So then, no Chechi, no Carla, and I think those would be the 2 obvious.
No Kayla Charles.
Come on.
Well, she played a lot.
She was great. A starter, but like, there's no world. I've never seen her name on any of these mock protections.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But you have seen some Carlas in ours. Like when I thought it was 7, I thought that maybe Carla would get protected. Of course, no Tiffany Hayes. I don't think we expect that. No Kate Martin. So yeah, it's. I think the obvious ones are Chechi and Carla, though, if you go with that 5.
And I think Unrivaled tips off in like 3 weeks. So at least we'll have some basketball to check out.
Not only basketball, but Valkyries. We'll have like 4 Valkyries. Like Tiffany Hayes, we talked about it on this show that we didn't see her name in the initial Unrivaled roster list, which was interesting because she was on it the previous year, and she didn't confirm in her exit interview that she was going to be playing Unrivaled. She was with was it a Turkish team? I think something happened where they mutually parted ways, and I don't know what that really means. From like, you saw what happened with Dominique Malanga and her club. it didn't seem like the same thing with Tiffany, but yeah, now Tiffany is just playing unrivaled. I think, yeah, she replaced Satu Sabali, who is still recovering from a concussion suffered in game, what, 5?
Yeah, that's rough.
Of the WNBA finals. So yeah, now we have Kate, Veronica, Monique, and Tiffany. If I'm missing anyone, I don't think I am, but yeah, those 4. Oh, I think we have Ami here she's in the reserve player
Like,
pool
yeah,
of like,
the possible replacements or whatever.
yeah.
All right, let's finish off this show talking about the CBA. Ben Pickman posted an article earlier this week. January 9th is still the expiration, but as we've seen, it could get pushed out again. But the further you push out, the the closer the worries are to not starting the season on time. There's a few things that were laid out here that we should probably talk about, and one of them is the revenue gap. Now, we've been talking about how the NBA has a 50% to the players and 50% to the owners on all basketball-related income, and the WNBA Players Association was talking about that kind of deal for themselves, and the WNBA owners were saying, well, we have this like pool of money, which I think they call the shareable revenue. And it is a pool of the revenue that they say out of this pool, you guys get 50% of this pool, but it is a smaller amount of the revenue. And now the players have basically said that they want 30% of total league and team revenue. So this is different than what the NBA has. And it's what I said earlier, how they don't need 50 now. They just need a plan to eventually get to 50 if this league is successful. And I think 30 is actually a good place for them. Maybe the owners are like, no, how about 25? And maybe they kind of meet there. But not being at 50, I do not think is a loss for the players. I think going from whatever they get now to 25 or 30, I think that's actually a win for them. And then 5 years down the line, when we do this again, maybe you bump up to 35, then you bump up to 40, and eventually your end goal is to get to 50, and this league's going to be successful if you do. So that is their counter. Would go up 1 year annually. So you'd start at 30, you get to 34 by the end of this thing. And so there's still that difference because the league is like, nope, we like this shareable revenue metric thing. And the players are like, nope, we want this total revenue thing. So there's just such a large delta still about this. What do you think about the demands as we know it for what the players want versus what the owners want?
I mean, I'm always gonna side with the players. I think, yeah, I mean, I think we had talked about it before, and I didn't think that they would, hold strong for 50% after receiving 9% for these past however long it was. Like, I knew that they were going to be able to settle for lower than 50. I think they'll probably go below 32. Like, I think we're talking about 20 to 25 would be my guess once it's all said and done. But there was some other interesting stuff, like the players want them to hold a minimum of 12 players and 11, because you can only have 12 players, but you could hold a minimum of 11. The players union or association wants it to be a minimum of 12. There's like that start date that for some reason the WNBA wants to start in like March or something, or not. Was it they wanted to start early and interfere with the college season, which just does not make sense at all.
Well, so there's the player compensation piece, which is the salaries. So the way that the league is proposing the shareable revenue, the average salaries would be in the 500 range, and the max salary would be in the 1.2.
Yeah.
The Players Association haven't set a hard ceiling for the maximum, but expects the top players to get $1 million. The union wants, like you said, to mandate 12-player roster, so that's the Player Association, and add 2 developmental spots per team to accommodate the growth of the league. So kind of like how
basically a two-way.
The NBA has 15 roster spots. They would want 12 plus 2 to have as developmental role. And then the Players Association also doesn't want this core designation. Now, I wonder if this is negotiable though, because if you could make the NFL has something very similar to this, but it's almost never used. And so by the players do have some juice here, and the agents in the NFL, so they kind of negotiate around it. But maybe the players give this one up and go, okay, we're okay with the core, but maybe you change the terms of the core. Maybe you can only do it once,
Yeah, I think that's likely.
And
I
if
don't
you
I
do
don't
that,
yeah.
then you give us shorter contracts. You can core us once, but you give us shorter contracts. So it's 3-year deal. You can core us once. So then after the 4th year, we become free agents. Something
And
like
you
that.
by shorter contract, you mean shorter rookie contract.
Shorter rookie contracts. So for the schedule and the structure, the Players Association wants to increase the schedule to 48 games and 50 once they get to 18 teams. And the league has said they want the opportunity to go to have even more games. And then what you were talking about, which is opening training camps as early as mid-March, which means your draft class would not be at training camp yet. So basically you have your team, your vets, and then the rookies would come late. And then as far as the draft is concerned, they want that draft combine, which we've talked about. Some of the other things that they're negotiating: parental leave. The league offered 1 week of paid leave for non-birthing parents. The union is asking for 4 weeks of paid leave. The Players Association wants $500 a month reimbursable for out-of-network mental health services, which the league has rejected in favor of, whatever their own providers and solutions are. So out-of-network meaning outside of their healthcare plan. And then retirement, health screening programs and one-time payments for retired players with at least 4 years service is a proposal. There's a security issue, and some of this has got to be Caitlin Clark related. Like when, she was, there was so much surrounding her in her rookie year, and some of the other players just, I guess the Players Association is demanding 2 full-time security employees per team, along with mandated staffing for physical therapists and trainers. And then there's this wearable tech thing that the players are like, sure, we'll wear your wearable tech. And then there's a housing thing as well. So lots of things that seem, based on the way that Kelsey Plum, who's the VP of the Players Association, it sounds like she's just really down on those talks. So it sounds like they're pretty far apart. But when I read all of that stuff out, it doesn't seem like it has to be so far apart. It seems like there's things that are give and take on both sides that should be easier to figure out. But maybe they're just still interested in playing hardball for another 3 weeks.
Yeah. I don't have much to add to that. I think that, but just see how it plays out. I think that, yeah.
So the last show that we said, or I specifically said that, the Players Association has one trick up their sleeve, which is get Caitlin Clark out in the media, have her talk about, what she believes they're willing to sacrifice in order for the league and the players. And she kind of did that, though it was even maybe too political for my tastes from her. Now, she's a very young person. She's not this wizened veteran, right? She's a very young person. She wants to play hoop. This is how she makes her money. This is how she's marketable. So I understand all of that. But I wanted to read her quotes before we get out of here. She said, "This is the biggest moment the NBA has ever seen, and it's not something that can be messed up, and we're going to fight for everything we deserve." I like that. At the same time, oh no, here we go. "We need to play basketball." That's your leverage, sis. You can't do that one. Like you cannot say that you're dying to get back on the court. That's what the owners believe. At the same time, we need to play basketball. It's what our fans crave, and that's what all of you crave as well. I think she's talking to the journalists. I'm not sure if the journalists are necessarily craving it, but is you want the product on the floor. At the end of the day, that's how you make the money. Then she said, it's important that we find a way to play this next season. Our fans and even everybody that has played in this league that has come before us deserve that as well. Obviously, I can't speak to every number. It's pretty complicated, but I think there are different things we can find ways to say, no, we certainly deserve that. And we're not going to compromise on that. And then other things that we can probably compromise on. I liked about half of her statement. But there was that other piece where I'm like, don't give in to that desire to play. You got to be willing to lose games in order to really stand for what you believe in.
Play
But
Unrivaled if she wants to play.
right, you can play it Unrivaled. You can create games, charity games with a lot of the players, and kind of go and go around cities and go, hey, this is the product that we have that you're not able to see because these owners aren't coming to the negotiation table in the right fashion. So I think she understands her place, and this is the same thing that happened with Michael Jordan, which is she has the most important voice, and how she uses it is going to be very relevant to this deal. And I just hope she's able to hold strong and know where she stands and how valuable she is to the Players Association here. So